Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. One thing that I said I wanted to start doing on this channel was to do stand-up comedy reviews. Whether it's a special that's got a lot of buzz at the moment, or maybe it's something that you guys left in the comments for me to review. If you guys like this and want to see more, I'll do it. Just tell me to do it and I'll do it. But anyways, let's get into it. John Mulaney. He's got a new album. Baby J. Baby J is the 4th hour-long stand-up comedy special from Mulaney, but his 5th special if you count that 30-minute special, The Top Part. Now, there's no denying John Mulaney's influence on my generation of comedians. Every single open mic you go to, there's a guy doing Mulaney. Not to say that's a bad thing, it's just kind of like when white women loved The Office. It's a great show, but now everybody loves The Office. Now, when I first saw John Mulaney's New in Town, I was absolutely obsessed. I thought his material was fantastic, his delivery was unique at the time. And most comedians' first full-length specials are their best specials just because they've probably been doing stand-up for like 5, 10, 15 years and they finally have a chance to showcase all of their best material at once. 15 years of greatest hits, and then the next special a year later, you start over. You have a lot less time to put together that caliber of material. I thought Comeback Kid and Kid Gorgeous were both fine. I thought they were fine. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that Baby J is John Mulaney's best stand-up special since New in Town. Before I go ahead and give this special all the praise in the world, I'm gonna tell you some things I was a little iffy about. Thing number 1, I have a love-hate relationship with John Mulaney's delivery. I feel like in John Mulaney's early work, the stand-up itself was really dependent on the material. He's an excellent writer. And it feels like early on you can really tell that like the writing is doing a lot of the legwork in the material. So much so that what we now know, like this big bombastic, oh my god, I'm John Mulaney! I can't believe you would say such a thing! You know, back then the traditional John Mulaney cadence felt a little more subtle. And I feel like a lot of the time when someone gets a laugh strictly based on how silly they said something, and especially when maybe the writing wasn't really doing any lifting and all of the laughter comes from the silly little inflections, I don't know, those just feel like cheap laughs to me, but to each their own. Aziz Ansari is a great example of someone with weaker material, but their delivery is just so good that it doesn't matter. And to stay on technical performance stuff for a bit, one thing he does a lot in this special is really take his time kind of chewing on the words, really giving a lot of negative space for the audience to just kind of exist somewhere. He really lets the audience just kind of hang on every word, and each new bit of information that each word gives does add a layer to the joke that makes it funnier every time, which is honestly a masterclass in joke telling and delivery. Sometimes though, I do feel like it's a little much. Like sometimes I feel like the audience understands the premise, understands where it's going, and yet he's still dragging you along, nice and slow, in the negative space, and it's like, hey John, we get it. Nonetheless, this was very minor for me and only noticed it like once or twice. Now let's get into the subject matter of the special because that's the thing I like most about Baby J. The whole thing is really John telling you the story about his addiction, his rehab, you know, really the inner workings of his mind going through one of probably the darkest periods of his life. But don't let that scare you. This is a funny special. I think when some specials, you know, when they try to be a little more theatrical, you know, try to make the audience think, I guess. We'll use Nanette as an example just because it's apparently the case study for this. And I've talked about this effect before in my video, What Makes People Laugh, where I talk about pandering and clapter. But it's once a performer is less worried about making the audience laugh and more worried about the dramatics and the theatrics and the, you know, I'm telling my story, which is great, and I love content like that. But the more you lean that way, by definition, the further away you have to get into traditional stand-up. Which again, is fine. I'm just talking. But let me reassure you, Baby J is a stand-up special about some real dark shit. John Mulaney's stand-up persona is a very fun, lighthearted, whimsical, wacky guy. Look at me, I'm John Mulaney. But the picture he paints of real-life John Mulaney in these real-life scenarios makes him seem really obnoxious and unlikable, like a guy with a lot of issues. And the way he presents it isn't like, I'm such a piece of shit, I can't believe I did this. He's just kind of telling you what happened in a very like no holds barred way. No holds barred? No, what is that? No holds barred. No, don't hold that barred. He's being very authentic, vulnerable, and honest. And John Mulaney, for I guess the longest time, was somebody, like most comedians, especially myself, needs to be liked. You don't like me? Why don't you like me? Caring a lot about your perception to other people. And one of the themes of the special is, I don't care anymore. And these are some horrible things from my life that I'm telling you about. And whether you judge me or not, there's nothing that you could do to me that I haven't done worse to myself. And you're like, this is funny? This is a funny special? Yes, it is. What I also appreciate about this special is that John is very much aware of his own celebrity, not really afraid to name drop certain people or talk about things that only somebody as rich and famous as John Mulaney can do. And I find that really refreshing because a lot of comics, you know, they get rich and they get famous and they still try to have a I'm an everyman kind of approach. And that just feels really, you know, dishonest. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, I was doing laundry the other day, and it's like, you haven't had to do laundry in a while. Stop lying to me. There are moments in the special where he does get a little serious, where it's not like he's pausing for claps. It's more so like he's just being very candid about something very serious. But even those moments where he does noticeably a little bit get a little more serious, there's still a laugh in this special every 15 seconds. And one of my favorite things about stand-up comedy is when you can take some real pain and turn that real pain into comedy. I think a lot of people think that comedy invalidates a lot of real pain, and I don't think that's the case. I think you can use real pain to inform the comedy, and you can still be poignant, you can still make good points, you can have well-articulated motifs, but you can still be funny. You can still do stand-up when doing all those things. You just can't get bogged down in the overzealous, artsy-fartsy dramatics of it all. And I gotta tell you, John Mulaney's Baby J walks that tightrope and nails it. So yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and give this a rating. I haven't done this before, so let's start rating shit. I don't know. I'm gonna give Baby J a 7.5 out of 10. It is closer to an 8 than a 7, and I really like the special a lot. I think New in Town, top part, Baby J, and then Kid Gorgeous and Comeback Kid. I kind of get them, you know, the kid specials. I get them muddied up in my head. Thanks for watching. If you do like this video, please hit like and subscribe. If you want to see me review your favorite stand-up special, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below, and I'll do a review of it, maybe. No promises! If you want to see my stand-up, you can go ahead and check the link in the description below and go to my Patreon, where if you sign up for a $3, $5, or a $10 month, you will have access to a 15-minute long, full-length, uncut stand-up clip. It's my best stand-up clip. I was at the top of my game, the crowd was great, my best material, go watch that clip. And if you want to stay subscribed to my Patreon because you feel kind enough to give me $3, $5, or $10 a month, thank you! My wallet appreciates it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you.